ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Respected Brahmachari Divakarji, revered Ila Amma, our esteemed guests, Dr. Sampadananda Mishra ji, Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai ji, our own family, Shri Vivek Dalmia ji, our own Nirav Bhaiya ji, my dear friends, and my esteemed CVV colleagues, Professor Sampath ji, Pandit Rupak ji, and Jayalakshmi ji, and my own friends and family members from Chinmaya Mission and other places. Before I start today, I want to read out a message from our Vice Chancellor, Professor Ajay Kapoor. He actually wanted to send a video message, but we had a little bit of a glitch, so I'm going to read out the text message. He says, "It is with immense joy and gratitude that I'm talking to you today at the Indic Fest 2023, a remarkable celebration that coincides with the 108th Chinmaya Jayanti. I must express my heartfelt appreciation to the driving forces behind this event, Chinmaya Mission Kolkata." Let's give a big hand for Chinmaya Mission Kolkata. And also Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth, particularly acknowledging the dedication of Shri Vivek Dalmia ji, the inspiration behind the whole event. Nirav Shah ji for his tireless efforts to bringing this festival to life, and Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth. As I'm talking to you today, I'm filled with happiness to see the presence of our dear esteemed guests, Dr. Sampadananda Mishra ji, Dr. Radhakrishna Pillai ji, and of course, Professor Mahadevan, who will be joining us tomorrow, and also Dr. Ramasubramaniam ji. And it is really a privilege to have such distinguished speakers today. Their profound insights into Indic wisdom and its relevance in our rapidly changing world promises to make this festival really enlightening. We're also very fortunate to have our own Professor Rupak Kulkarni ji and the illustrious Rupak Bhattacharya ji, who will be introducing us to the enchanting world of Indian music. Their contributions will surely ignite curiosity within us and deepen our appreciation for our cultural heritage. I'm incredibly optimistic about the profound impact that this festival is going to have on all of us. The wisdom and insights which are going to be shared by our esteemed guests will undoubtedly guide us in the days to come. I'm already looking forward to many more such enlightening events that will continue to nourish our minds and souls. In closing, I would like to extend my heartfelt wishes to the organizers for a grand and a successful festival, and to all the attendees. I hope you have a wonderful and enriching experience here at this Indic Fest 2023. Hari Om. So I'll now go to my address and presentation. Let me pull that up here. Let's see. So we are going to today listen to a lot of profound knowledge insights from many of our very esteemed speakers. So in this inaugural address, what I would like to share with you is what is it that we at CVV are doing to excite and ignite the same passion of IKS in our future. So, Indian knowledge systems, yes, it is very ancient. Yes, it is very old, but it is young. And that is because it is ever fresh. And it is something that will always live on. And we will see how at CVB, how we are working with IKS. So, I don't know how many of you know the structure of our school, of Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth. At Chinmaya Vishwavidyapeeth, we have essentially 6 schools. And these 6 schools are geared towards various aspects of how contemporary knowledge is really built. So the 6 schools which I have here is the School for Contemporary Knowledge Systems, where we are teaching our children a lot of in the areas of commerce and economics. And then we have the School for Ethics, Governance, Culture, and Social Systems, which is more geared towards education. We have the Linguistics and Literary Studies Department, for which Professor Sampath Kumar here is the head, where we have our Sanskrit and English languages as well as Malayalam, a lot of this which is being taught as well as introduced. Then we have the School of Kala Yoga, where we have music as very much an integral part of this, for where our Professor Rupa Kulkarni ji is part of. Our Vedic Knowledge Systems, where we have our PhD programs, and I'll show you that as well. And finally, we have our Philosophy and Psychology and Scientific Heritage Schools. So with these 6 schools, we actually have these programs which are introduced here. We have the bachelor's, one second. We have the bachelor's in applied psychology. We have a master's in applied psychology. And recently introduced this year is the master's in clinical psychology, a PhD program. Our contemporary knowledge systems, where we have our BBA program and our BCom programs. I'm not going to go too much into the details of this, but I just wanted to give you an overview of how the university is laid out and how we are introducing IKS into all these systems here. And then we also have the ethics, governance, and cultural and social systems, where we have our B.Ed programs. We have our linguistics and literary studies, where we have a BA Sanskrit, MA Sanskrit, and a PhD. We have, of course, in Kala Yoga also the different programs, MA Music, Bansuri, MA Music in Tabla and Hindustani, and in Vedic Systems, our PhD program. So we actually have PhD program in all the 6 schools. Now, with this scenario, how are we exciting our young minds? This is what I want to share with you today. Okay. So, with regard to our implementation of Indian knowledge systems, and again, I'm not going to go into details of what IKS is. I'm going to leave it to the experts. But here we have, starting with the IKS focus programs, which is Sanskrit, we have BA and MA and everything. But now we are slowly trying to introduce IKS integrated in all these systems through many different courses, projects, our PhD theses. The courses that we have here, which is purely of IKS content, we have 2 of them which are mandatory courses for our undergrads, which is, one of them is a Pride of India, which gives them a glimpse of all the inventions, discoveries in many different aspects of whether it is the health, whether it's ethics, governance, whether it's architecture, whether it's the sciences, mathematics, astronomy, all these areas. This is a mandatory course that all our undergrads have to take. Another course which, as much as the Pride of India gives them an idea of the standard of living, where people go out to make money in their jobs and everything, now we have the standard of life course, which is self-unfoldment. Now, this is based on Puja Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda's book, The Manual of Self-Unfoldment. And so this is a mandatory course also, which is 60 hours, 4 credit courses, which is all full with assignments, quizzes, presentations, which all the undergraduate students have to take. Then we have some elective courses, which is of pure IKS content, which is Indian contribution to sciences, and then success insights from Bhagavad Gita and Itihasas. We also have discipline-specific courses here on Indian psychology, education heritage of India, ancient Indian math. And then we have other things where we have the Chinmaya Vision program, which is where we introduce the values, the 7 pillars. And we also have IKS and CKS research relevant to this with introduction of Bhagavad Gita and psychology. In addition, we also have value-added courses where we're introducing a lot of the values into soft skills, whether it is personal branding or whether it's creative writing, storytelling. And then finally, we have also where we're introducing concepts, and I'm definitely going to learn more from Dr. Radhakrishnan when he talks on Arthashastra and many of the concepts. So this gives you a large overview of how IKS is really introduced to a young man, to the minds. Now, this is not all. This is not all what we do. The next part of it, which I'm going to walk you through this, is how do we really teach these young minds in today's world, where you have to teach them by learning, by doing things, where they have to touch, feel, sense IKS. We want them to really understand what the grandeur of this Indian knowledge system is all about. We really are definitely very interested to generate a lot of awareness to these young minds. And how do we do this? We are a university. We can do a lot of things in this regard. So one thing that we started to think about this is we said the only way we can do this is let them take some small projects. Let them start working on them. Let them give their own minds. And with our faculty, work on small, short projects. So with this in mind, this year, for the first time in India, we actually created something called as a national conference of IKS for youth. And this was specifically just limited to ages of 15 to 25. And we had this year, we conducted the very first of these conferences. And then this was duplicated by IIT Roorkee just last month. And this was a festival which we got about more than 200 entries, out of which 100 people. Students came to our Adi Shankar Nilayam and presented a lot of their work. So a very successful festival in this area of IKS. As you can see, the themes: science, technology, health, wealth, psychology, public administration, etc. So this was one way by which we had 70 of our students participate, along with a lot of other applications. Then another thing that we are continuously trying to do is we are continuously creating mind-stimulating and creative thinking projects in all these areas, especially anything connected with Kerala. As you know, Kerala is really rich in the area of medicinal plants. We have the Kerala School of Mathematics. So with all these things in Kerala, we want to establish a niche in these areas. So culture and traditions, and of course philosophy, we had our great Mahatmas, Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya, and then Puja Swami Chinmayananda, Chattambi Swamigal. So there is a lot of literature from whom we can learn and impart to our students. So with that in mind, we are looking closely into these projects, looking at culture and traditions of Kerala, looking at Sanskrit language itself, the philosophy, as I mentioned, psychology, mathematics, music, all these areas which are again in line with our own schools. And in here, we've been able to, the first thing that actually we were very happy to be awarded was, we were recognized as an IKS center in the area of Malayalam for Bharati Bhashas. So we are now in the process of doing a lot of work in IKS in all these 10 areas. We're going to be creating booklets, and all these booklets in these areas will be distributed to children, and IKS division will take this up as their project. So this is one area where we are focused as part of Kerala itself. Another major project that we are working on is the Kerala Devi temples. There are a lot of Devi temples in Kerala. There's a lot of rituals and traditions which are so unique to all of them. I can give you a whole hour lecture on just the traditions of Kerala which exist over there. Now, as much as this has been there for a long time, it is also very important for our youngsters to understand from an emic perspective. What do I mean by emic? It's essentially how did this cross culture, how did this beliefs and the culture within the system grow? And how did that change the socio-economic fabric of the place itself? So we want our students to really learn this. So we are trying to get our students excited into this project as well. And with this, we are looking at a whole belt in this part of Kerala, where we are looking at about 108 Durga temples, really bringing light into light. Now, a lot of this has not been done, not much of research has gone into this. All it has been existing in the temples itself. So this is one major area that we're looking at. Now, I'm going to be talking about, in Sanskrit itself, what are the 3 projects which we have indulged in and which we're going to take it forward. One of them is on the impact of Akshara Shloka on improving our cognitive abilities. As you know, we live in this world of chat GPT, artificial intelligence, texting, social media. How are we going to get our students back into our fold? Well, we have an answer for this. We actually create these projects, and then we go to the government for funding, and then we go to our esteemed mentors like Dr. Sampadananda, who's here. I'll explain one project that he has done with us. And through these projects, we are slowly trying to bring some change, some transformation in our student. So the second one, which we have just started, is looking at Sanskrit lexicon for neurology. We have a very vibrant psychology department, and the students at some point are going to become therapists and clinical psychologists. Now, these kids are very interested in IKS, so how do we get them motivated? So we have a project for them. The project is basically now find the Sanskrit words for the same neurological terms and try to incorporate them into your vocabulary, and so build a lexicon. So this is something that Dr. Sampath Kumar is leading here. Now, this is the one that Dr. Sampadananda Mishra was very worked with us, with our student Dikshita here, where it was an idea of how do we cure something called speech stammering. So this was one project which we will take forward in the future. Now, coming to the role of Hindu temples, we had our students, how do we excite our students to go to the temples beyond just looking at it as a work of worship? So we had 2 students in this area looking at temples, looking at concepts of dharma, artha, kama, moksha, seeing how does that relate to temples, and building up a whole project on this, talking about what is it that keeps the whole temple together. So this is one of them. Another one is in the preservation of, looking at Chaturdasha Vidyasthanam itself. How do we relate all the concepts from there to the temples? So all these are voluminous subjects, which I'm not going to detail, but I wanted to give you a flavor of the kind of work that we do at CVV and IKS. Now, Bhagavad Gita, of course, is a text that we all are very familiar with. But how do we get our students? How do we get the youngsters more into this beautiful book? So we create projects for them. We create small projects. Like, for example, we have our Masters in Psychology group looking at various aspects, and I'm just presenting a few of them, and these are all, by the way, funded projects, is what I'm showing here. So lack of psychological well-being being a big factor. Today, mental health is a big issue. And so we had a student who did a survey of 108 students there, looking at many different aspects on what causes them to go through this depression. And so we are going to be writing a paper on this aspect of it. Another one is on career path. We talk about the gunas, we talk about the varna system. How does that relate in today's world for the children itself? So this is another aspect that we're looking at. Many projects in Bhagavad Gita we have been looking at. Mainly it's not that we don't know a lot of the concepts, but for our students to get involved in this, feel it, and then express it in the way that they can understand this. So this is another project we looked at for youth in mastering distractions. And then finally, even in the area of philosophy, looking at our own 6 darshanas, What can we learn from the darshanas which can help us change our mindset in problem solving? And the last one, which is in the area of mind and consciousness, looking at, again, the various philosophical streams, seeing how mind and consciousness has been depicted in them, looking at exact shlokas, and pulling that together and creating a paper out of it. So what I wanted to give you today in this inauguration speech is a glimpse of the kind of work that can be done with students and how we can take IKS forward to the next generation. Thank you and Hari Om.